Gordon, or Whip Peter, was an enslaved African American who escaped from a Louisiana plantation in March 1863, gaining freedom when he reached a Union camp near Baton Rouge. Upon learning of his escape, his master recruited several neighbors and together they chased after him with a pack of bloodhounds. Gordon had anticipated that he would be pursued and carried with him onions from the plantation, which he rubbed on his body to throw off the dog's scent. Such resourcefulness worked, and Gordon, his clothes torn and his body covered with mud and dirt, reached the safety of Union soldiers stationed at Baton Rouge 10 days later. He had traveled approximately 80 miles. While at this encampment, Gordon decided to enlist in the Union Army, as President Lincoln had granted African Americans the opportunity to serve in segregated units only months earlier. Gordon was at the front of a movement that would ultimately involve nearly 200,000 African Americans. It was during this medical examination, prior to being mustered into the Army, that military doctors discovered the extensive scars on his back. Not much is known about Gordon aside from the testimony he gave the medical examiners and the image of his back and the keloid scars he suffered from his beating. He told examiners that he had left the plantation 10 days ago and that the man who whipped him was the plantation's overseer. After the whipping, he was told he had become sort of crazy and had threatened his wife. As he lay in bed recovering, the plantation owner fired the overseer, but Gordon had already determined in his mind to escape when he was able. A sergeant with the 30th Regiment of the Massachusetts Volunteers sent a copy of the photograph to the Surgeon General of the state of Massachusetts. In his accompanying letter, he wrote, "Few sensation writers ever depicted worse punishments than this man must have received, though nothing in his appearance indicates any unusual viciousness, but on the contrary, he seems intelligent and well behaved." Within months, commercial photographers in Philadelphia, New York, Boston, and London were issuing this image on their own studio mounts. Recognized as a searing indictment of slavery, Gordon's portrait was presented as the latest evidence in the abolitionist campaign. An unidentified writer for the New York Independent wrote, "This card photograph should be multiplied by 100,000 and scattered over the states. It tells the story in a way that even Miss Harriet Beecher, author of Uncle Tom's Cabin, cannot approach, because it tells the story to the eyes." Records of Gordon's military service during the Civil War are incomplete. Harper's Weekly reported that he served as a Union guide in Louisiana and that during one expedition he was taken captive by Confederate forces, beaten, and left for dead. Yet he supposedly survived and returned to the Union lines. The Liberator reported that he served as a sergeant in the African American regiment that fought bravely at the siege of Port Hudson, an important Confederate stronghold on the Mississippi River 20 miles north of Baton Rouge. There are no further records indicating what became of Gordon, yet this famous image of him lives on as a searing testament of slavery's brutality and the fortitude, bravery, and courage displayed by so many African Americans during this time period. This is the story of Gordon, also known as Whipped Peter. Black problems, black issues, past, present, and future. This is Black Authentic Truth.